Telling the Tale is the podcast where we'll go through every single Telltale video game. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley Wolf, and I'm joined, as always, by forever co-host and lovely person in general, Dustin Cornelius Jackson.
No one's ever called me lovely before, and I really freaking appreciate it.
And we're joined by a past collaborator of the show, a friend of the show, I guess you could say. Andrew, the Ape, Special Agent Ape, is here.
Hello,
hey,
I'm
Andrew.
Here. Everyone,
how you doing?
Everyone missed me, right? Everyone missed me on this podcast.
Yeah, when's the last time we had you on? Was it Guardians?
It was Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
So not too long ago.
It feels like it was longer ago than it was.
Well, that was like the end of 2023, and we're firmly in the middle of 2024. So I don't know. That's
true.
That's a good amount of
Remind
time.
me about the passage of time. That just makes me feel bad.
Sorry, kid.
Good.
Yeah, well, today we're talking about a decisively different kind of episode, although maybe it's not that different. I don't know. We'll talk about it. This is The Walking Dead Season 4, the final season, I should say. Episode 3, Broken Toys, released on January 15th, 2019, Dustin. 2019.
Wow.
January
No
15th,
way.
2019, directed by Ryan D. Chan and Chris Reiser, designed by Mark Darren and J.D. Straw, written by Lauren Mee, Mary Kenny, and Adam Esquenazi Douglas.
And this is not a Telltale game. This is a Skybound game.
Yeah, so
The first one.
technically we have finished all of the Telltale games that there are, because this was the first of 2 games that Skybound put out after Telltale had become bankrupt and could not operate anymore. Skybound came in, bought up the license to the games, and hired a bunch of the people, and tried to fund as best they could the ending of this season, because they knew it was only 2 episodes away. And Skybound is the company that is operated by... What's his name? What's that guy's name? Is it Kirkman? Robert...
I think it's Robert.
Roderick?
I don't know.
Got the Robert part.
Is Kirkman correct?
I'm looking.
Robert Kirkman.
Yes,
I'm sorry, Walking Dead guy.
he is. He is Robert
We love
Kirkman.
you. We love your work.
Oh, that's
We
awesome.
nailed it. We got it.
That's
Yeah, we got
awesome
it.
that we were able to pull that. That's so good.
Yeah, it was a little sweaty getting there, but we pulled it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the first thing I said. If I just stopped talking, it would have been like I remembered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his
You were
company,
almost
Skybound,
really cool there, Mitchell.
took control of the Walking Dead games out of effectively a moral obligation or just an emotional obligation. I don't know how much money they made on this endeavor, if they even turned a profit. But
I don't know if they
took
made
control of
money.
the project.
They definitely made prestige, though. I think
Yeah.
I think
Oh, yeah.
these games were
totally.
so well received. Like, there's no way they're just gonna not finish it. They would look foolish.
That gets them some brownie points finishing up this wonderful season.
Yes, for sure. And I think Skybound, because of this move, is going to be remembered as a company of like, oh, they went out of their way to do something nice for the product and the fan base and the developers
And your
who
podcast.
worked on this game. And and the voice cast, anyone who was involved really in any kind of way that was potentially more emotional than financial. This was awesome. I don't know that they didn't turn a profit in their purchase of the intellectual property and game back from Telltale, but I would be surprised if it was that much. This was clearly a passion move.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, by this point, the big problem was that people weren't buying Telltale games, so
It's
I doubt
hard to
that
tell though,
these
because
made
now
a ton of money.
they are like selling like Clementine like comic books and stuff now. So like they are like invested still in this.
Yeah, but I think it's been enough time that like those Clementine comic books are, excuse me, they're hearkening to season 1 and the time where these games were really profitable and did make a big splash with the mainstream and were exciting on a general level and not just within this kind of niche bubble.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, I my understanding is that this season was like a bit of an uptick over New Frontier, but it is still like it didn't save the company, you know.
Right.
It was during this release that they eventually failed their financial obligations. So
It killed the company.
yeah, in a way you could say it killed. It was actually the worst thing for the company in the company's history. Even though I think, Dustin, you and I have, over the last 2 episodes, and I think we're going to, no spoilers, but I think we'll continue to say it here, this is a great season.
So,
Oh,
and
totally,
the thing is, too, if no one told you, you would not notice this developer switch. Like, it's pretty seamless. Like, the episode just feels the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. It was exactly on the same level of tone and gameplay.
From what I understand, they wrote and voice acted like the entire season before Telltale got shuttered. So they still they just continued where they left off. They just hadn't made the game part yet.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, this is like only 2.5-ish months after Telltale shuttered. So, or maybe 3 months or so, but like about that much. You can't make this in 3 months, so this was already long on the way. And I assume that episode 4 was too.
Like, it must have been crazy. Like, they talked about, there's like a commentary for season 4, and they kind of talk about how, like, oh yeah, they were like midway through recording a voice acting session. It was like Clementine's actress, I cannot remember her name, and she was like talking about like, oh yeah, we were like mid voice recording session for like one of the most emotional scenes I've ever had to do, and that was when Telltale got shuttered.
Dustin, what's her name?
Clementine's voice actor?
Yeah.
Melissa Hutchinson, I think. Hutchinson?
Melissa Hutchinson?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. Is that who I think that is?
It's Melissa Hutchison. I added an extra N in there on accident.
Oh, that is not who I think it is. Yeah, no, okay, this makes more sense. I thought it was the girl who played Gabrielle in High School Musical. Who is Vanessa Hutchinson.
Yeah, that's different.
That is different.
She was Stinky in Sam and Max, though.
I bet I've said that before. We've done a lot of episodes of this podcast.
Yeah, but she's cleaned up since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was Stinky in Sam and Max, but now she's...
she's better now.
Yeah. Now she's darn right smellable. Yeah, so Andrew, thanks for being on the show again. We orchestrated your arrival onto this episode 3 of season 4 quite a bit of time ago, and I think at that time you had played it already.
I marathoned this whole thing all at once, basically. So
yeah, he's been waiting a long time.
I have been waiting a long
for
time
us to actually play it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think season 4 is my favorite season by a landslide.
It's so hard for me to say, like, partly because we're not done yet, but partially just because season 1 just hit me so hard, and like even now I have that nostalgia for it in a way I don't have season 4. But even putting that aside, I do think season 4 has been like a wonderful
there are things,
return to form.
There are things in season 1 now though that I look back on and I'm like, ooh, that's a little messy in retrospect that season 4 doesn't have. Like, I think the show character, I cannot remember which character it was.
Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn.
Is Glenn it? I was trying to think of it last night and couldn't remember.
I think
it just came to me right away.
I think he's so forgettable, and like he's just kind of there, and like there's a lot of stuff like that in the first season where it's like Molly sucked. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
There's like a couple things where I'm like, oh yeah,
Molly
looking back,
suck. I forgot.
Looking back at
Come on,
season
Molly.
1, I'm like, yeah, there's a couple things that could have been.
But I was nostalgic about Molly sucking just now when you said that. So, that's interesting.
Well, if you want to be nostalgic,
there.
if you want to be nostalgic for season 1, that is a lot of what season 4 does, I think.
That's definitely
They
true.
do have a lot of callbacks.
Yeah, I think that season 4 would need... I mean, it has one more episode. I was gonna say like it would need one more really, 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 really strong episode, in order to beat season 1. It may happen, but the bar is set pretty high.
The bar is pretty high, but man, this season is just I have like almost no issues with it.
Yeah, it's really solid so far. So, yeah, Andrew, episode 3 specifically was the one that we wanted to look at, though. Yeah, and you had already played it. You
I do want to briefly talk about episode 1 and 2, though.
Sure. Yeah.
Like your choices and stuff.
We cannot talk about episode 4, thoughts. But you can talk about it.
Yeah. Sure. No, so episode. So you guys stayed pretty firmly on the Violet route.
Yeah.
I kind of played this like my first playthrough, and I went with Lewis for most of it. It's a little bit different. So the choices in episode 1, it was like, oh yeah, you could go. It was like fishing with Violet or hunting with Lewis and Asim. And so when you go on the hunting trip, I think the vibe is a lot different. It's a lot less. I don't want to say it's like worse written. It's like it's a lot less like weighty, I guess.
Than the fishing trip.
Yeah, so like, cause like you guys get to talk to Brody about like all that, like all the serious stuff. But with the hunting trip, you go with Lewis and Asim, and basically it's like they find like a walker caught in one of their traps, and Lewis is basically just like messing around. He's not taking it very seriously. And Asim is basically like,
what a joke.
Yeah, because that's like his whole thing, is he just kind of wants to make people laugh and kind of lighten the mood. And so like Asim is basically like, hey, you should help me instead of Lewis because he's just fucking around. And so like basically, if you choose to go with Lewis at that part, so you're basically getting another choice, like go with this character or go with this character again. And you basically like you hit a walker like a piñata with Charles, his chair leg.
Love that, Charles.
And so and basically he kind of talks about like
Charles.
Yeah, Charles. He's a chair leg. And he basically talks about
Thank you.
how like everyone else is always like really serious and like they can't just like live in the moment. And then shortly after that, like, Asim basically says, oh, we only caught one thing in this, like, animal trap, but it's a baby rabbit. And so, like, the moral quandary there is, like, do you keep the baby rabbit that you caught, or do you let it grow up into an adult rabbit and then eat it later, you know? And they're kind of talking about, like, oh, is it better to live, like, in the now, or, like, live for the future kind of thing. And Lewis is very much firmly in the, okay, we should have this rabbit now. We need this rabbit now. And so like to kind of stay on his side, you know, you basically kill the baby rabbit and take that back with you. And it doesn't really feed much of the kids, but it's like you have that baby rabbit, you know. So that's the scene that you missed in episode 1, basically.
Yeah, I guess to contrast that, we have like 5 fish, and they're like not small fish. I felt like that was absolutely enough food.
No, like
even though they still played off like not that much food.
Yeah, they were not very satisfied.
Lewis and Asim were not very successful, but also like at the same time, I think that's part of the point. Is like Lewis is not very good at the whole survival thing comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
He's not.
He's like really nervous, and he just kind of wants to keep everyone's spirits up instead, which is like an important thing, you know.
Yeah, he's got a good charisma. Yeah, like when Violet takes charge of the group for us, and really Clementine takes charge, but we keep saying that Violet is the one in charge, even though, we just keep saying it. She is not confident about it, and she is not great at like keeping people friendly. So I wondered if Lewis is better at that.
Lewis does not take charge. He basically firmly lets Clem take charge.
Interesting. Okay.
But at the same time, though, Lewis is Marlin's best friend. So I guess I'll talk about the first time I played. I did not talk down Marlin from trying to, like, wave the gun around or, like, whatever. So the first time I played, I basically said, like, yeah, AJ was justified in pulling the trigger.
Oh, okay. That's hugely different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way it plays out is a little not exactly what you like. You get like chances to like dial it back, but it does kind of basically at first go like, oh yeah, like AJ, you were 100% in the right, and it's like, well, no, that's not what I'm trying to tell this child, because it's still like, okay, it's a little fucked up that you have to pull the trigger.
You want to just say something like, well, you made an educated, difficult decision, but it looks like it was maybe the right thing to do, versus like, no, I like that you killed him.
That was actually great.
It's actually really fun for me.
So,
you should do it again.
I was hoping you'd do it before Marlin turned out to be a bad guy.
The difference with this playthrough was, so the first time I tried to appeal to Lewis, and I guess I said the wrong things because he did not take my side and did not step in front of Marlin. This time I did successfully talk Marlin down, which was a little goofy because I still told AJ I wanted to kind of recreate my first experience, which was telling AJ it was okay. But I feel like maybe AJ wasn't as justified this time, actually.
I feel like for my playthrough of this game, the fact that AJ miscalculated whether or not it was okay to kill someone who was no longer a threat was so central that to not have that actually feels pretty like very weaker. Maybe if I saw everything that came after that point in your playthrough, I might think differently. But man, that feels like an important tenet of the growth process that AJ is going through during this season.
But the thing is, you can tell him, because it's like Marlin was still a bad guy, and he did still kill Brody. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I had the option to say it was fine also, but I think that, like, in what all the other NPCs were also saying, and it would just made sense to align ourselves with, like, yeah, you have to understand that he wasn't a threat, and that makes a difference, especially considering what happened, at least for me, and I assume everyone else, but at least for me, at the end of this episode, which we'll get to with Lily, if Marlin didn't have that not a threat moment, I could see that feeling very, very different when we get to Lily.
Yeah, I've got some thoughts about that. We'll get there, but
okay.
Also, I will say, while I'm still talking about episode 1, I think the Brody death is like the actually most uncomfortable one for me to watch in the entire series. I think that
it's not
that
great.
One really gets me. It's like, oh, I cannot watch it when it happens.
Yeah, I think for me it's like tied with the Carly death. If you save Carly on Lily's hands in season 1 as like the most unnecessary death.
It just also it's like so real. It's like one smack with the flashlight. It's so viscerally like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Especially like in video games, smack someone once with a flashlight, they'll get up. That's one hit point, you know.
Yeah, but there's like an impact to that hit though.
There's there's a realistic thing. They're like, well, if it's the blunt end of a metal heavy object on your temple, like that is lights out. So. Wow.
So so then episode 2, at the funeral, basically everyone's pissed off. I told AJ he was right, and of course, because of the way that choice plays out, AJ takes that as meaning, like, oh, I did nothing wrong. And so what he immediately does is says, I was justified and Clem said so. Which is, I mean, it's a little funny, but at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, I absolutely get why Lewis is pissed off at the start of that episode. Let me see. I took notes on episode 2. Let me see.
Yeah, episode 2. Episode 2 is pretty solid for us, but it's like with everything that happened on the boat and everything in this episode, it's actually kind of hard for me to recall everything about it. Other than it being the introduction of James.
I will say, on James, I do think it's really funny that in the first episode, you guys were talking about how, like, oh yeah, they gave all these kids, like, weird names at this school. Why can't they give them normal names like James? And then in the very next episode, you're like, oh, there's a character named James. He wears, like, skin or whatever. He's not important, though.
Yeah, it was almost like math, the way I felt like this name pool needs to be balanced out by a James. And
they knew exactly what they needed.
I couldn't have imagined being as correct as I was.
So in episode 2, you get a choice to follow either Lewis or Violet to what is essentially a date. So for the Lewis date, he basically, he's very direct. He's like, oh, I don't feel like we're actually prepared for this fight with the Raiders and stuff. And so, he's like, okay, but we need to boost morale. So we're going to tune this piano. He goes through, he's like, oh, play this key, do this, and then he plays a funny prank on her. He says, all right, now blow on these strings. And then he basically says, oh, great, that did nothing because it's not how you tune a piano, but it was funny.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think that date is very charming. And then he talks about how Clementine is, like, always so serious, and he likes when he can make her smile. He plays a song for her that he composed himself, but he hasn't named yet. They carve L plus C into the piano, and you get the option of drawing a heart around it to become boyfriend and girlfriend, basically.
Ooh.
Ain't that just too cute?
Yeah, I think that scene is very good. And then he basically talks about, like, oh yeah, everyone hears, like, all the jokes and performances that I do, but, like, they don't see me as, like, more than that, and they don't try to get to know me more. But, like, he's thankful that you, like, try to, like, get to know him beyond, like, the jokes and, like, actually see how he's feeling and stuff.
I think it is very funny to be in a post-apocalyptic zombie wasteland and just be, like, genuinely pretty upset. Like, man, my jokes, they're not landing. And
what is the problem?
I think this is the worst day of my life. This joke not landing.
It can't get worse.
And then my favorite is when you tell him that you like him, Clementine says, oh yeah, this is the first time I've ever heard you be silent. So I think that's pretty good.
Owned.
And he basically admits,
just straight up owned.
He basically admits that when during their funny truth or dare game or whatever, he was, like, really hoping that it was him that Clem had a crush on. And then he names the song Clementine after her and jokes that it's because he likes fruit.
Pretty good.
Yeah, so that's
thanks, Lewis.
So that's what happened for my episode 1 and 2 scenes that you guys didn't get.
Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that Lewis date. Yeah,
I think it's very different from how the Violet scenes go. It's a lot lighter in tone, but I think that it suits the character. It fits who he is,
One thing I did think was a funny game to play while I played through episode 3 was trying to make everything a metaphor for the fall of Telltale in my head. So at the beginning we bury Mitch, and I thought, man, just like Telltale.
Just like they buried Telltale.
Yeah, and then at the end there's there's a fight with Lily. I'm like, damn, that is just like Telltale.
Well,
they also fought with Lily. Yeah.
we should go in order
Lily
though, right? So what's the first thing you do? You interrogate Abel, right?
Just like Telltale.
Yeah,
No, Andrew, we do jump around sometimes. We don't go in order.
I know. I noticed that. I noticed that you told the plot completely backwards in the first 2 episodes, but it's okay.
It's good to do. Because
sometimes, yeah.
We're not Spark Notes, you know. We're not a Wikipedia synopsis.
Yeah, but you'll miss details if you jump around. This
good.
is like
It'll
advice.
It'll encourage the listener to play it for themselves.
Yeah, that'll show. Well, they shouldn't be listening to this without playing it anyway.
You know how many Telltale games there are? There's a bunch of these you're not meant to play. I don't know.
True.
I would never force anyone to play CSI. I got bored. I helped you guys set that up, and I would not.
Let's play Hector again.
Just on our own time, not even do a podcast about it.
Do it again for the show.
Why?
Have you guys ever played? Like,
why not?
Have you guys ever really replayed these games? I know that Dustin has replayed the Walking Dead ones, but are there any of these that you go like, oh, I just need to play that one again and see like?
I mean,
before the podcast, there's times when I've replayed Sam and Max or Strong Bad.
Yeah, like I've played a bunch of these before we started the show.
So then, like
when you replay these, we've done it for the podcast.
So when you replay these, do you try and recreate your first experience, or are you trying like to intentionally do weird things? Because I feel like when I replayed it, it's like it's really hard to go against what my first playthrough was.
I'm just like, well, this is the choice I would want to make.
There's some decisions I've made differently that I am a different person now, so I made differently. Yeah, I like regardless of what I've done in the past or what I'm trying. I want to get an honest playthrough, and then bring that to the show. That's what I'm trying more than anything else. Part of it is
good for because when you were talking about I feel like you were like, oh, it like takes away impact if AJ is like more in the right. But I feel like that was like an important part of my first playthrough where I was like, I told him it was right, even though it was a morally complicated situation, And so I was thinking about, like, that is kind of an interesting thing about, like, oh, if I were to go back and replay this, I guess, like, there is, like, a different way I could have thought about it,
Yeah. We will start with Abel, though, because you've decided to. It's very okay. It's very okay for us to miss detail. We shouldn't talk about everything in a, like, almost 3-hour video game. Because then we should be on every podcast for 10 hours.
That would be all day. I don't got that time.
We don't got that time. It's very okay. I've decided it's fine.
All right, so what'd you do with Abel?
You interrogate him. And he's dying because at the end of the last episode he fell and bursted something on the inside of his body.
And did your Abel have an arm?
Something didn't work.
Yeah, well, no, his arm's very gone, but I think this is more like a pancreas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the arm...
The arm certainly didn't
The arm didn't impact much of anything. I think the scenes play out most of the same.
He can live without that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the arm is vestigial, but the spleen is forever, and he's going out fast, and you get the information from him where the other kids are, but you want... Mm-hmm. Or then he asks you to either put him out of his misery or let him turn into a walker, which he really does not want to do. And
I get it.
I think the more humane thing is always to put him out of his misery, but the wrinkle is that AJ's there. So if you want to do that, you basically have to kill a still alive person who is not a threat in front of AJ.
So I will ask,
right, but he is asking for it, and it is better than becoming a walker.
Yeah.
It's a nuanced situation.
Did either of you sick Rosie on him?
No.
Okay, because it's really gruesome. Don't do it. I didn't like it. The very first time I played it, I did that, and I was like, ooh, I feel bad.
I liked having the option, at least.
I kind of forgot that was an option.
It might not have been if you hadn't pet Rosie in either the first or second episode.
Oh, Rosie's my dog. Rosie is my dog now. I just forgot. But yeah, that's That's a good one. That's a good little interrogation. I did choose to mercy kill Abel, and it was in front of AJ. And AJ said, like, you had to do it. He would have turned. And I wanted an option there to be like, AJ, no, that really sucked for us. Like, that was... We shouldn't just be cool about that.
My AJ did not act like that, in fact.
Oh, what did he say?
So my AJ, he's a little more okay with killing for a couple reasons. And he was basically like, well, he was a bad guy.
Well, that is what mine said. That's what I'm saying mine said.
He wasn't remorseful in any way.
He was not remorseful in any way, no. But he was like, yeah,
you just said you had to do it.
You got to do it.
That's just
he was a bad guy. He was rough. We didn't like him.
Also, when you stub out the cigarette, Clement just goes, "Oops."
Yeah,
which is just really
fuck you, I guess.
Really savage, honestly.
I wanted to know what Dustin did with the cigarette.
I let him smoke.
I knew you would, you old softy.
But once he takes a drag on that big fucking cigarette, that's when he starts really hacking up his lungs and hacking all that blood out, and that's when he's like, oh shit, well, I guess I'm gonna die.
The thing is, I wanted to show AJ that smoking isn't okay. That was the lesson I wanted him to take from that interrogation.
Naughty.
Yeah, there's an option to stub it out on his body, which I did not go as far to do, but I did stub it out on the little table.
The first time I played, I did.
Yeah, there's always ways to break Abel. You know, he's presented as a bad guy, but we have
he's
made the last days of his life the worst.
I feel bad
for
him.
His leg is all not bending the way it's supposed to.
His leg and his arm and his spleen and his cigarette burn and
did you see his teeth? Ew.
His teeth? Ew.
Yeah, he had like lily teeth.
Ew.
Yeah. I don't think we were the cause of that. I think he already had issues before this.
No one in the Delta has good teeth. That's the problem. They don't care about their dental care.
They invest all their time in making child soldiers to fight for them when they should have invested their time in getting some toothpaste.
Look, they've got solar panels and hot showers, they said, but they can't make fucking toothpaste.
Yeah, it's not that complicated.
It's just like goop.
Yeah.
So the general thrust of this episode after this point, this is like the intro sort of. Get your feet wet, make a decision that makes you sad, because you're back in it. You're playing a Walking Dead game again. That's with the Abel interrogation. After that, there's like two main chunks of the episode. There's the preparation for an attack on the boat where you're going to get your friends back, and then there's the attack on the boat. And I feel like the preparation period for this boat attack is some of the strongest, like, hanging out, just making talking decisions moments in like this entire series across any of the seasons.
There's some really good stuff.
Yeah. There's an airplane in my ear right now. It's in my face. Get out!
Ew!
That's so embarrassing for you.
What if you saw an airplane and you were in the Walking Dead world and you're like, someone has a plane?
It's hard enough to find a car. Where'd they get a plane?
I see so many planes fly over me every day because I live not very close, but I guess cosmically pretty close to the San Diego airport. And if I lived in the Walking Dead universe, I wouldn't have to have that, and that's a good sell for me.
Yeah, they should just kill everybody so you don't have to worry about airplanes.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't have any jokes about airplane food, and without that, the world would be without humor.
That's true. We are really doing the most important service.
So yeah, within this like prep period, there's like Ruby, not Rosie. Rosie is dog. Ruby is person. Ruby wants to throw a party, and you go to James because James wants to, or James doesn't want to do anything, but you need James to basically sick a group of walkers on this encampment with the boat in order to distract the people so you can get on the boat. And
James is like, oops, I dropped my mask because I'm a goofy guy.
yeah. There's a lot with James here in this episode that has thrown me like thoroughly off of the James train.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a I was wondering if you'd be with me on this, Dustin. I'm glad that you're saying same right now.
I think James is a little silly.
James is a little silly. So James is this whole ideal that the walkers have a part of the person they used to be still in them. Not the craziest hypothesis. I in the grand scheme of things, that's fine. But like the way he proves this, or the way that he tries to prove this to Clementine, is he's got this barn full of walkers that he collects and just keeps them in a barn.
Like the
and
cattle.
He tells Clementine, put on my gross face mask that used to be a person's face, and walk through this group of walkers. They won't attack you if you've got the face mask on, and ring this bell and just see what happens. No strings attached. If you do this, I'll help you, but I need you to just see what happens. And you do it, and like all the walkers were sort of just ambling about before, but if you ring this bell, they all sort of congregate around the bell and look up at the bell, and it could be a powerful moment if you wanted to believe what James believes.
Yeah.
Or
the problem
it could be
is...
a bunch of mindless zombies looking at a bell.
While the music
because
swells in a very comical way, yeah.
The music swells, and it's like, don't you see that there's like this bit of humanity in there? And I think you can read it that way, but like, I was expecting like maybe one of these people in their lives was trained to answer to a bell or something, and like that part was still in there. This is just the same zombie walks towards sound behavior we've seen all the time. And I let James know after that, because James was like, don't you see that they're not just monsters?
Don't you see?
And I just told James, I don't see that. I think that was actually a waste of time. And I think that this doesn't work the way that you think I'm very unmoved by your bell, James. I wonder if earlier in development of this episode there was an attempt to make this moment a little bit more convincing. Maybe they... complete conspiracy theory mode here. Forgive me for going into deep speculation mode.
I'll forgive you.
Maybe Telltale wanted to do something that was a little bit more off the wall in like actually providing a bit more evidence of this theory James has with this bell thing. And then when it went to Skybound, Robert Kirkman was like, oh, you want to do that? No, just don't do that. They are monsters.
That's lame.
Just make it so James could believe something, but it's not actual evidence.
Right.
I could see it having happened like that. And then they changed it so it was a little less powerful. Because like I got out of that barn and I was like, James, that cool bell, but I don't know.
You also have the ability to like say, "Oh yeah, it's I get it, James," and then AJ asks, "Do you really believe that?" And you can just say no.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that feels
That's
nice.
what I did.
That feels like a good option.
I was just like, yeah, that's really cool. I get where you're coming from. And as soon as AJ asked, I was like, no, he's crazy. Are you kidding? They're walkers.
They're walkers. What do you think they did to the bell?
They kill people. Is the thing. That's the big thing that James forgets about is if they have some humanity in there, that's fine and good. They are killing anyone they find. No,
Dustin, walkers don't kill people. Walker bites kill people.
That's true. I forgot. That is the big difference.
So like
is that true?
Maybe give that some thought.
I think walkers kill people.
Yeah, it is. Well, no, because sometimes the walkers like pull guts
Mitchell,
out.
Did you let AJ?
That'll kill you.
Did you let AJ lick the salt lick?
Yeah.
Of course.
So if you tell him not to lick it, Clem he asks Clem, "Did you lick it?" And then she says, "I don't know."
The epic callback.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
What's that a callback to?
In season 1 when she did it.
I forgot she licked a salt lick.
And she says exactly that.
I forgot. I totally forgot about that. Man, it has been a long time.
Pretty
since
good
we
stuff.
played
That's the good stuff.
Season 1. It's all right stuff. It's good stuff. Yeah.
Good
so
stuff.
With that James storyline, I feel that they're maybe trying to build up. Again, Dustin and I have no idea what happens in episode 4. Andrew, you do, but we're not going to talk about it. I will speculate a little bit, I guess, into the void, that they're going to try to make me feel bad with James. Or maybe judge me positively with James. If I did what he wanted to do. There's something I did.
I mean, even within this episode,
he does not want me to do.
He basically says, like, hey, don't kill these guys, and you have the option to just kill all of them.
Yeah, I did him the solid of not killing anyone in that moment where he said, don't kill all these walkers. It was harder to not kill the walkers.
Yeah. I'm doing this as a favor to you, to be nice.
Well, it not to be nice, but to barter, because, like, we need your help to get onto this boat.
Right.
So I wanted to, like, do him the solid of, like, if I'm asking him for a favor, I'm going to play by his rules. When in Rome, do it China, and, like, all that stuff. So...
Right. That's kind of why I went along with what he was saying. But I just couldn't lie to AJ. I'm not going to say, like, yeah, I totally believe all that stuff. I'm a believer now.
Yeah. I mean, I lied to James because again, like, my honesty is, I feel a way of trying to just say, like, hey, man, I'll be honest with you. I'll do you the favor of not killing your walkers. Whatever you need. We just really need your help. And, like, child soldiers are bad to
whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't have child soldiers on it.
Yeah, because at first James is like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. My walkers will get hurt.
Well, actually what he says is, I'm sorry, I can't help you. My walkers will get hurt.
Yeah, that's better.
He's just such a guy. He's just such a, like...
He's a cartoon, I think. I don't know.
He is similar to Molly in season 1 in that he feels written in, like, in a world where everyone else is just a person. They would write a fan fiction character to meet. Like the Clementine group would write a fan fiction character of their own situation, and it would be like Molly or James, for different reasons.
Right.
But yeah, like in episode 2, there was the flip, marry, kill question. Andrew, do you remember what you said for this?
So I said that I would. It was marry James and then flip a sim and kill Ruby because
Ruby.
But it was only because I wanted to make a sim uncomfortable. I thought it was funny.
Right. The chaotic route.
The funny route. It goes, haha.
Yeah, I said that I would have Clementine flip James, mostly because I think that she can't get on board with his philosophy at all. That's my read on my Clementine's decisions with James. But I do think that there is an attraction there. Because, like, the way that she's kind of like, oh wow, look at this.
I mean, the game frames him as like this beautiful
forest
man.
Gentleman.
He takes off the mask and it's like Prince Charming's hair in Shrek 2, like it's like a beautiful man.
Yeah, he's like simultaneously Edward and Jacob and Justin Bieber. And like maybe a little bit of like the goddess Freya of nature. Just something for all the gentle souls out there.
I liked how your immediate read on him was like Lord of the Rings Legolas. That's very funny to me.
Lord of the Rings Legolas is yeah he's in there for sure. Yeah. So I said Clementine, like, I think she would spend the night for sure, but I don't think she's there for a long time at all.
See, I said marry James just because he felt like a good survivor, like he knows his stuff. But this was before he introduced me to his like Walker religion.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
I think my answer would be different now.
Yeah, and this is also under the assumption that like every character in this universe is bisexual and would go for it.
Right.
Which is probably not the case. But like Clementine has to be in order for these decisions to be possible.
Yeah.
And everyone else is into Clementine. Regardless of whether they are man, woman, or whatever else, they are into Clementine because you gotta let the player be into them, I guess.
Right.
That is weird. That strikes me as strange. That like if you were going after Lewis and then like the game can't just say Lewis is gay because you're Clementine, so he has to like girls.
Right.
Or like you can't just say Violet is straight because she has to like Clementine. She has to like girls.
I will say though,
I totally understand
much...
why it's there for the choices and stuff, but it feels like a little too wish fulfillment that like the person you go after always could be into you.
Right.
Yeah. I will say they do enough with Violet that it's like, oh yeah, she likes girls. Like,
she has a previous girlfriend as well. Like, yeah. They do the job of like. It certainly doesn't feel unjustified.
It never feels forced, I don't think.
Yeah, and I'm definitely like happy to have more gay characters in gaming in general. It does, yeah. I think that like one of these times that you have a character that you might want to go for them to say to you, "I don't want you," would maybe be a little bit more refreshing and realistic.
Ew, go away.
Yeah, I am not straight. And you're different, so I don't want it. I just like that to me would be a more realistic kind of take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that to a degree that comes just down to game design of like, well, you want to have the player be able to go for what
you have to pick your anime wife or whatever.
Yeah, you need to waifu select at the highest quality, or else you cannot compete with the other waifus. I think that's how it goes.
Exactly.
But James is not even on the table. I don't know.
It comes down to like, well, you said marry James. That's crazy to me. I mean, that's the worst.
Well, the thing was, I was just messing with a sim because everyone was bullying him. So I was like, yeah, I'll bully this child.
You stupid.
Because the whole thing was that he had the crush on Ruby, so it's like,
yeah.
Something important that happens in this episode as well. We finally see Minnie.
Yeah, we finally see Minnie. Minnie exists.
Yeah, and she's not very cool, I think.
She has been brainwashed fully into being a soldier for this war. Yeah. And follows the will of Lily pretty much without question.
This actually worked out really well for us, because last episode I was kind of worried, like, oh shit, Minnie's still alive, and I just started a relationship with Violet. That's going to be awkward. Oh. But then it turned out Minnie sucked and was lame. So it's like fine now.
Oh, I didn't even have that thought. I mean, like, yeah, in my mind they were just like, well, they're separated, so don't worry about it. I guess I should have, because it is pretty similar to what we had in season 3 with Javi and Kate and what's the husband's name? I forgot it every episode. David, not Henry. No. I wanted to say it's Henry a lot of times on this podcast.
That's okay. We'll forgive you.
I won't.
No, David. Yeah. Like David is still in his heart in love with Kate, even though it's been years without her. So that's interesting. But yeah, with this one, I just assume Minnie's just so gone. It turns out Sophie is dead because Minnie killed her in order to defend the group. Not their group, the Lily group. They're called Delta, by the way. I don't think we brought that up on the show.
she initially lies to you about that.
She does.
Yeah, she says she died protecting the Delta.
Yeah, a hero, she said.
Yeah, a hero, she says.
A hero, she says. And it turns out Minnie killed her while she was trying to escape.
So she clearly knows she did it wrong, you know.
I would say she has an inkling. Like, yeah.
Maybe it wasn't okay to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting flip on, like, your expectations of this character, Minnie, after she's been talked about for 2 episodes. Because at the start, it's Marlon gave away Minnie and Sophie. And with names like Minnie and Sophie, maybe this is just like a bad expectation of mine with those names. But I was expecting little girls, like very young girls.
I was too.
Minnie seems like she might be the oldest of the teens.
The thing is, though, if you were paying attention in episode 1, Mitchell, you can look at the photo album and see that 10 is with 2 older girls.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
I knew they were older than 10, but yeah, they're a lot older than 10. They're like 10 years older than 10. Or so, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I can relate to, because my siblings also have a over 10-year age gap between them. Hey, Andrew, what's your sibling age gap?
We're all about 4 years apart, and I'm the middle. So I have 2 brothers. Kind of
typical.
Yeah. I'm definitely a middle child, right? Yeah.
Kind of typical. I do want to point out that at one point in the school, if you go to the office, or you don't go to the office, but you end up in the office at one point, like the old Erickson, like President Erickson's office, he has his master's degree on the wall. And it was written over to say "Master's Degree of Ass."
Love it.
The graffiti in the school's so good.
It's my favorite.
I like that they keep putting the cool S on the wall.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like the one thing these kids can all agree
on.
It's
like that is what you would do at a school.
Oh, good job with that S.
Thanks.
I'm drawing a cool S right now just to prove I remember how to do it. I do. Great.
Hell yeah.
Good.
Good.
That's what this episode should have been called, the cool S.
There's something called Eden. There's a place called Eden they were going to, or they were kicked out of. Or that, like, some of the members of Delta were kicked out of, I think. And there's something to the fact that the characters of Lily, which could be short for Lilith, and Abel, who's the son of Adam and Eve, were kicked out of Eden, which is the garden where Adam and Eve live.
There could be something.
It's
there.
Also he smokes the Bible.
That never
cigarettes
occurred to me.
And
yeah, he smokes the Bible cigarettes.
He reads you a Bible verse at one point.
He tries. Well, there's one in his jacket pocket, and he said, like, all your questions will be answered by that. And then Clementine pulls it out and reads it, and it's like some nonsense from Leviticus, and he was like, ah, damn, I thought that'd be cooler. So he doesn't know which ones he has.
Shit, sorry.
Yeah, I guess that's Leviticus. Dang. I was hoping for some Revelation stuff, but alright. Yeah, I don't know. There's something to it. I don't know. Who's to say? I don't know.
Who is to say?
Yeah. AJ has a really stupid dance if you put on the jazz music.
Love
at the party.
That
There's a party that Ruby throws a party, and they talk about a bunch of the troubled youths that are there, like their reasons for being there and being considered troubled. And some of them are quite dark. And then there's Willie's. I assume you guys got this dialogue line.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Like Ruby's talking about her file, and it's like doesn't respect authority figures, destructive to property, stuff like that.
Beats up the elderly staff.
Yeah, destroys the morale of the elderly staff. She's just like a surprisingly rough kid because she's just a nice person on her exterior.
She's an unstoppable beast.
Yeah, And then Willie's like, do you want to know why I'm here? And all the ones that know are like, no, Willie, no.
Shut up.
And
Willie.
He's like, masturbation.
Chronic masturbation. Even worse.
And he's got this big old smile.
But the thing is, Willie's meant to be like, I'd say he's like one of the younger kids there, right? So like,
yeah.
There's like some logistics there that I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, because it's been about 7 years since a Walker outbreak, so
he would have been like what, like 6, maybe?
Yeah. I mean,
don't like that.
Around that, he found out early, he found out hard, and he was not deterred in any setting, and he was proud of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to be sent to the school for troubled youth, I guess that's not, like, the worst one to be in there for.
No, I mean, yeah, I think I would look at what everyone else did, and I would then see Willie's file and go like, huh, I don't know, maybe...
Oh, that's it?
We could make something of this. Yeah.
We can...
Yeah, I mean, that's just normal.
We can repair it.
Everyone does this. Yeah, and that party was nice. Then it kind of got sad when they started talking about, like, how many other students were there. I think Ruby says 34 students had died in the last 7 years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Sobering, one might say.
Yeah, a little slobbering, for sure. Yeah, so that's like all in the prep phase for this attack, and the attack is The Walking Dead builds up to these attacks pretty often, like these heists or missions into populated areas, and I've never loved doing them so much. Like, they always feel like a peak for the action of the episode, but it also kind of where our interesting decision making and conversation stuff takes a break. This felt very active on the conversation side, the whole way through, really. So I liked that. That was fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I also like this is another one of those like big branching things, because you do get another like small time with either Lewis or Violet to have another date, basically.
Yeah, a date where you're trying to blow up a big boat and kill people on it.
No, before the party.
Oh yeah, you mean before the party?
Yeah.
You get a nice little scene.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, but like on the boat, you find the prison, and I would be interested to see what happened to Violet here, Andrew, for you, because for us, Lewis had gotten his tongue cut out by the time you get there.
Isn't that just too fucked?
His tongue's all the way cut out.
Imagine not being able to taste ice cream.
So, I will also say, I feel like him getting his tongue cut out is very, very viscerally uncomfortable, like, to see.
Well, yeah.
It's gross. So
Does Violet get her tongue cut out?
No, Violet stayed quiet. The whole reason Lewis got his tongue cut out was because he kept talking.
He's Mr. Jokes a lot.
So Violet, you find her huddled in the corner, and she's fine, but she's very emotionally upset with you because she feels like completely abandoned by you. And so she basically refuses to help you with the escape because Violet is just so distraught. She's seeing Minnie again. She's got a lot of emotions going on, so she's like, okay, I'm not helping you. You're just going to get us all captured or killed.
Mm-hmm.
And when Clementine goes to open the cell door, Violet actually stops her. Or, like, tries to stop her. But, like, Clementine kind of, like, pushes her away and, like, slams the door open to attack Minnie. So, it's definitely very different. She the other thing that happens here is Lewis is aiming the crossbow at Minnie, basically, and he kind of gets surprised by Dorian and basically shoots her in the head. So Lewis gets like a kill shot here that doesn't normally happen.
Lewis kills Minnie.
No, not Minnie.
Dorian, the bigger lady,
the one who just gets her ear bit by AJ potentially.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. Not even that happened for me, Dustin.
Ooh.
Yeah, they put you in a position where, for if you have Violet with you rather than Lewis, Violet and AJ are in a cell together, and you say something to Lily, because Lily starts interrogating you, trying to get you to just willingly go with her, and I think both parties know this is just not going to happen. Violet keeps saying, "Fuck you, no!" That's my Violet impression. And, Dorian, whose name I didn't even know. Did they say it? I guess they said it, probably, right?
They mention it, like,
I think so.
I feel like the other Raiders are like, oh yeah, that one?
Yeah, she did.
That one was Jonathan. Like, sorry. Why? I'm sorry they named you that, but anyway, we're gonna move on. You're dead now, so it's
you guys should have a James.
Yeah, you could have been like Steve or Jim.
So Dorian threatens to cut Violet's finger off, and then AJ gets on in the position to jump Dorian. But he's just AJ. He's just a little guy. So Clementine is given the option to tell AJ not to jump on Dorian or not. And I had to think about this one for a long time. Because, I'm now...
one of them hard choices.
I'm now canonically supposed to be in love with Violet. But I'm definitely also feeling this urge to protect AJ. I don't want to put AJ out of safety for any reason. I feel like if AJ jumps on this... large, very built woman, he's gonna get destroyed. So I tell AJ, no, don't, and then they cut Violet's finger off.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel oops. I feel like AJ really shouldn't have been at risk there. Sorry, Violet. Sorry, my love. About the finger.
I told AJ to do it.
I also told AJ to do it.
He bit her fucking ear off.
And then she says, okay, so...
not her whole ear, just like a chunk.
It's a pretty big chunk, though. But, and this is one of those they were talking about during the commentary. They were like, oh yeah, this was one of those examples where we recorded the lines before we animated it, and then the line didn't really match how the scene ended up. Because he bites like that big chunk out of her ear and spits it out. And then she goes, and then Lily's like, what happened? And then she goes, he bit my ear. But she's missing a chunk of her ear. It's a little funny.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
During this whole exchange here in the prison cell, I think it's just really heartbreaking the whole time that, Minnie seemed like she was maybe reached at some point, especially because Tennessee tells Clementine that if she sees Minnie, she should be told that he forgives her. And
right,
I do relay that information, and Minnie seems kind of shocked about that and a little heartbroken about it, and then says she'll help you, and then immediately it is turned out to be a ruse and not her real opinions on anything, and
it's just her strategy.
What a mean head.
Yeah, I mean, she might be moved by the Tennessee thing, but she's not letting it affect her at all.
Right.
And just to see this friend of theirs, especially of Violet's, just not relent in keeping them locked up and attacked is just it's sad. It's a sad time there.
It's a sad scene all around.
But after that point, Clementine breaks out. AJ breaks out. They all go to the top deck, where Lily is now threatening Tennessee, which is come on, what's he gonna? It's Tennessee. We all love Tennessee.
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
Come on.
She's now threatening Tennessee, and they all get in a fight, Clementine especially, and it ends up, I believe 100% of the time, I don't think this much has a fork, with AJ aiming a gun at Lily. Tennessee's there, James is there, and Clementine is there to see it all happen. And AJ has the shot. Like, he can shoot and kill Lily right now. And then Clementine...
He can, and Lily is afraid of him at this moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, she's really begging
she knows
for her
he'll pull the
here.
trigger.
Yeah. So, you as Clementine have the option to tell AJ whether or not you want him to shoot Lily. And AJ, like, makes an argument before he does it, too, before you have to choose to. He says, like, yeah, no, I understand Marlon wasn't a monster, but Lily is. Lily is a monster, even if she's not threatening anymore. Like,
in my version, he said, I killed Marlon and I was justified.
Okay.
I was totally in the right and everyone said so.
Everyone felt that.
The thing is though, I mean, if she's scared of him, that's she knows he will pull the trigger. He can and will. Yeah.
Well, he's I think for me, just saying, like, Lily is a monster. We saw what she did with Minnie. He saw how Lily encouraged Minnie to kill her own twin. He saw how she just demanded that Violet's finger get cut off and Lewis's tongue get cut out. And, like, this is a monster. She is too dangerous to leave alone. And to me, that is fundamentally very different from Marlon.
The other thing, too, is that you do have... It's an angel and devil in your ear situation, because you've also got James sitting there going, oh no, AJ might become a killer.
Yeah, before the whole heist, James was like, I was really upset when AJ said that he had killed someone. Because I don't know... I actually liked this line that he said. This is still in the before the heist part. James was like, it sounds like he's just repeating what people want him to say. So he's saying sorry. For me, for you, I bet he said he was justified. For me, he says he's trying to atone. And, like, he really uses that word atone in the way that a child who is repeating a word they don't completely understand would use a word.
So the thing James said to me instead was more like, I'm starting to think that he likes, killing.
Yeah.
And what I basically told him in response was, don't tell me how to raise my boy.
I also told him that, yeah. I really felt that. And I wrote here in my notes, not excited to hear James's bullshit next episode. I guess... I expect it. But, James, I told AJ he can kill Lily. I did it. I didn't want to. It didn't feel good. But I did. And I think it's because AJ made a compelling argument, and I thought that he was right, that, like, this is a monster who is too dangerous to leave alone. So now I have this murderer kid who I egged him on a little bit, but
what are you gonna do?
What did you tell AJ to do?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I told him not to shoot.
Did he shoot anyway?
No.
Oh, nice.
He lowered the gun, which was good. It did kind of get to me. I was like, I want AJ to have some sort of humanity left, but it is another thing where I really had to think about it, because I totally get your point of view why you told him to shoot, and actually just kind of agree with now and think I made the bad choice.
Oh no, I don't know. I feel weird about my choice too. I just don't want to be guilt tripped by James.
Well,
I want my choice to be complicated for my reasons.
Well, Dustin doesn't have to deal with James anymore.
I don't have to deal with James.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, because Lily kills him after being spared.
Wait. Oh, Lily kills James if you have AJ lower the gun?
If you don't shoot Lily, James comes in and he's like, good job, kid. And then Lily stabs him with the fucking knife.
Lily does suck.
She does, like, she sucked before, but now I think it's getting harder to give her the benefit of the doubt.
We're also kind of missing a part of the stakes here, which is that you guys planted a bomb.
Oh, yeah, true.
Oh, yeah, we totally forgot about the bomb.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as important.
It's pretty important.
It's pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole time you're like, we gotta get out of here before that.
Yeah, it's not a time bomb, but it is in the boiler. So as soon as they turn on the boat again, the boiler is going to heat up and then the bomb's going to explode.
Right.
So yeah, like you have no idea when they're going to do that too. So that's like in the back of your mind the whole time.
So if you kill Lily, they basically go like, "Oh, shit, Lily's dead. We better move the boat now. We better get out of here."
Yeah, and that blows the bomb. We did free everyone from the prison before that, or I did at least. So they are hopefully on their way out, if not already off the boat. But maybe not. We'll see next episode.
In my version of the game, Minnie and Violet are still on the boat.
Minnie and Violet might be for me too. It's the other group.
No, Violet in your version of the game, she for sure like went with the other kids. If you go with Lewis, Violet refuses to go with you. She stays with Minnie after you knock her out.
No, Violet stays with Minnie for me too.
She does for me too because she shoots her in the arm or in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So she's just like, "You go, I'll meet up with you."
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And it's Lewis with his anti-tongue and Omar and Asim that walk out in a group of 3 together.
Right.
Yeah.
I
guess
guess the same group still walks out. But the implication, though, is that Violet is not intending to go with Minnie off of the boat in my version of events, because
it makes sense that that's
like
the same
refusing.
either way, actually, because she's got this history with Minnie that predates any Clementine tinkering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she has a tongue, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm glad that we chose Violet to date because she still has a tongue to kiss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are you gonna do with Lewis?
Lewis, that was like strike 3.
I mean,
man.
Lewis still has a tongue, but he could have lost a finger. He didn't, though. But he could have.
There was an opportunity for a kiss between Clementine and Violet for me this episode. This time, Dustin, I took it. I felt like last episode was too soon, but now I did it.
Good for you, Mitchell. Look at you.
So I had an opportunity to kiss Lewis, but my options were, he basically said, Clem, I'm freaking out here. You slap me. And you have the option to either slap or kiss.
I'm freaking out.
And of course I slapped him.
Yeah. That seems right for you.
Cool.
He liked it. He said, yeah, that helped.
Yeah, so it reminds me of, like, just to go back to this AJ shooting Lily thing, because I think this is like a culmination of how you're choosing to raise AJ. Although it is still one that is completely within your control. I'm sure that he'll start making his own decisions later in life, right? But this one is you choosing to condone or forbid an act that he wants to do.
Right.
Yeah, I wrote down in my notes, like, back in season 2, Dustin, we had this dust up about, you ever think about dust and, like, your relationship to it?
No.
Okay. We had this dust up about how, whether Clementine should be there when Kenny kills Carver. We had differing opinions. And mine was like, yeah, I don't want her to do it, but also, I think she should see it if she is condoning of the action. She needs to be aware of the consequences of it. And then you were of the opinion, and correct me if I'm paraphrasing this incorrectly, but you're of the opinion that like she shouldn't have to see this. This is potentially very scarring, and we really don't. It's just unnecessary, and we don't need to bring it into her life so fast. She'll have time to catch up.
Basically, yeah. Basically, like she's in this like awful, nasty world. I want her to have some sort of humanity to cling on to, at least for now.
Yeah, well, it's way harder to do that with AJ.
I will say though,
yeah, he just straight up says he's gonna watch. You don't get to make the choice.
With Abel, like they basically say like, "Hey, AJ, you don't have to watch me put the knife in his head," and he's like, "No, I want to watch."
No, I want to. Yeah. No, it's fine.
I mean, every kid is gonna say they want to, and I think the point is like, you don't know because you haven't been there yet what it's going to do to you, so we should, hold on to that decision making for you.
Another thing too is in the previous episode, AJ says something along the lines of, "Hey, Clem, you're not always going to be able to tell me what to do all the time. I'm going to start making decisions on my own."
Yeah.
And basically during the interrogation with Abel, he acts on that because if you tell him, "No, don't watch," he says, "No, I'm going to watch."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there is just a realistic, pragmatic approach to life that is true. What AJ is saying here, of like, I can take your instructions as best as I can, but even without me rebelling or without me disagreeing or anything, like I'm still gonna have to do my own stuff that you can't interfere with. And Clementine can take that as a bit of a diss, but I think that even though she's within her right to take that as a diss, because it's rude to say to your mom, effectively, it's true. Like it's just the nature of things that if he gets old enough in this hard to survive in society, he's going to have to do his own stuff, and make his own calls, and they will at times differ from any of his loved ones because everyone is a different person. Yeah. So Andrew, this playthrough, did you have AJ kill Lily?
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah, I did too. So
I kind of regret it a little bit though because I do have to deal with James for another episode, but that's.
I love that. That's the reason.
It is the same reason as Dustin regretting it, but from the other side.
Yeah, it's the opposite. It's like, oh yeah, I want to hear James's bullshit. No, you don't. It's what you. It's James. He's like, oh, don't kill people. He's
gonna be like, you did the opposite of what I wanted you to do.
Yeah, I mean, I regret it a little too, but I regret it in the same way that like, it was really tough when Clementine had to kill Station Wagon Guy, even though it was the right thing to do at that moment because Lee was in danger and it was safe for her to do it, and he was a bad guy. Like, that was tough. This one, I think, is even more of a potential issue because, like, she is surrendering. Now, it turns out, I guess, that she can get out of her surrendering position and just kill James, even though I figure of everyone involved, he has to be the one that has upset her the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why she's doing that. She is just kind of, at this point, a comically bad person.
Yeah.
I think it's just one of those, like, happens really quickly.
That...
She has the gun and she shoots, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we all kind of regret our choice for this one choice.
It's a tough choice.
Like, we chose different things. It's not like there's a right one. We just, like, I picked a different one from you guys, but we just all kind of regret.
I mean, it's mainly just because I feel like James is a polarizing character, I think.
Yeah, I don't like him. And if he were dead at this point, well, I don't like him. but I don't want him to have died because of AJ.
Right.
It's tough though because I don't like him and I can't get behind his whole deal and all that stuff, but I don't think he's like badly written or like a bad character. I just think he's like he's incorrect and I don't agree with him.
I don't like him, but I also don't respect him. And yeah,
and I'm glad he died. Actually,
well, he didn't for me is the problem.
Well, he did for me, and I'm glad now. I've been convinced.
All right, yeah. Turns out it's great. Yeah. So with the whole Delta attack already being over, I am now pretty curious about what you could even do in episode 4. You still need to get off the boat.
We have a whole episode.
The explosion just happened and then it cuts your credits. So we still need to get off the boat. There's still probably some fights we're going to be dealing with some of the people in Delta on the boat. But that can't take the whole episode. So
I mean, there was also a big explosion. So like that made a lot of noise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, walkers are probably around.
Yeah,
but, I mean, like a herd of them that you just sent in.
Oh yeah, those ones. Yeah, we did invite them in. So
they are around. There's like a bunch of them.
Now I do have James, so I'm hoping that I can at least appease him a little bit and use him. But I bet he's pretty mad at me, so maybe he won't help.
Clem, you should have let me die, Clem.
Yeah, have you considered how I'd feel if you let me die?
Could you imagine? I would still be me, but like not me, but like a walk-in.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken.
It's not death, it's a homecoming. That's from a different game that Andrew and I played.
Oh.
Yeah, but I guess it doesn't really relate here. I just wanted to say it, I guess.
Hey, I'm glad you were able to get it out of your system.
Okay, with timing being an issue here, should we move into our segments, or is there any one or two more things we wanted to talk about before moving on?
I feel like this episode really drove home the importance of having the lighthearted moments.
Yeah, totally.
I was talking to Andrew about it. This episode has so many just like little scenes, like the scene of Clementine and AJ talking about like, what if Clem got bit? What are you gonna do? And just that back and forth between them. That's not really a lighthearted moment, but it is like just getting a nice, like serious conversation out of the two. But then you have stuff like the party or the little mini date with Violet or Lewis. I just think about how like seasons 2 and 3 are like almost all the sad stuff, the bad, like intense, like, oh, this is like endless misery. And I feel like having those moments where they're just nice little scenes where you can like talk to the other people, and it reminds you of like, oh, I like this group and want to defend them and make sure they're still alive. It really goes a long way.
Mitchell, did you hit the QTE with the beach ball?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love that scene. Yeah, the beach ball scene.
Yeah, AJ says, I found a beach ball. I blew it up myself. It was pretty gross.
That scene's so great, just seeing him like actually having fun for like real
and
fun
after like a really heavy scene. That's like the scene after he basically says like, hey, what if you got bit?
Yeah. We didn't have that conversation, but like, yeah, there's a conversation in this episode where AJ and Clementine kind of effectively do their version of writing a will, and they decide, if you got bit, would you want me to turn, or would you want me to kill me? And I had Clementine say, I think this was a choice, right? I had Clementine say, I want you to shoot me.
Yes.
And AJ said, I'm not going to. I'm going to actually let you turn, and I'm going to have you bite me too. And we're going to unlive together forever. And I have Clementine get a little mad at him, and I was like, no, I want you to shoot me. Because
James doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's a part of it, is that AJ is...
James.
Yeah, AJ is like, oh yeah, James says there's like still part of you inside you, so like if we did turn into walkers, you would still be you.
Yeah, problem with James is that he's not right. So
yeah,
you gotta move on.
James, there's no way to like prove you're not right, but you're just like, you're wrong. Now
AJ,
right?
I know he's very beautiful and trustworthy, but please don't trust him.
Yeah, I really like the barn scene, actually, because like if you want to, I think you can be a player who's like, oh, I kind of get what he's going for. I guess I don't think I do. I feel like I just saw some pseudoscience and they told me to believe it. But like the way that it's done, it has all these people, these walkers, looking up, and like there's like a god ray of light coming from a hole in the busted roof of this barn, and they're looking at this like wind chime that is it's a wind chime, not a bell, and it looks vaguely like a cross, and like this whole thing is meant to be, this is a church.
I know it was meant to be like really impactful and stuff, but like I found that scene a little comical. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
it's a little goofy.
It's a little goofy. Well, for me, it was more sad than anything, where it's like, you invented religion on your own, and I don't think you see that it is that, but this is a faith, and I really cannot believe the things that you're saying, so I can't subscribe to it, and you're gonna look at me like, oh, she still doesn't understand, and I'm gonna look at you like you've deluded yourself. And I know from this point forward, we're going to have a difference between us that is more than a difference in opinion. This is a difference in faith. And like they really dress that barn up to be church-like in all of its... it's the rabble finding the light and finding the light via searching for really the only thing they can, which is the sound of the wind chimes. It's a metaphor for falling into faith and falling into using religion to get you through the bad times. And I think before that moment, I only viewed James as like, well, you have this opinion about walkers, and like I don't really know how you developed it, but we believe different things. After that, I'm like, oh, you had to do this. You had to fall into this feeling about walkers. You were finding religion as a necessity in your life. And I still cannot, in any good conscience, just like say, oh, I get it, and lie about it. I mean, I could, but I felt like the more it suddenly became more moral for me to be like, James, I'm not hearing what you're saying. I'm not seeing the light on this one. Like, I don't think it's there, buddy.
Sorry, dude. We can still be pals, though.
Yeah.
I will say also, I did not get this scene, but I was watching Adam play, and he basically got this scene with James where James like showed him like a photo and like gave some backstory about himself, like it was like him with his boyfriend from before the outbreak.
Oh, I didn't get this.
Yes,
I got that.
And so it's like, oh yeah, this was my boyfriend. He was with this group, and I tried to convince him to leave, but he wouldn't leave. And that was another major turning point. That was like, I'm trying to remember exactly how the scene went.
Well, he did tell me at one point there was a guy, and I don't think he said boyfriend for me. And I didn't get a picture being shown either. But like there was a guy in his group that he said something that falls into James's belief system he has now about the walkers and everything. But he was so mad that he was distracting him from the big picture, so he killed him, and he lives with the guilt of having killed this guy the whole time.
Right.
So I assume that's his boyfriend. I didn't realize that.
I believe that's that's meant to be a different character.
Yeah, is that a different character he killed?
He said he killed like a kid.
Okay. So that's not the boyfriend then. I guess that I just didn't get this at all then.
And then he left.
Then he left.
So James is a gay icon actually. So you need to factor that in when you talk about him, because
I don't want to give him any credit. Don't like him.
Well, I don't really have much else to say. I think we can get into our segments.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that this episode ends with every character that is still alive being MIA.
Yeah. Everyone except
I wrote down
who you see right there with Clementine and AJ. Everyone who's not there is MIA. Who knows?
No, even the ones who are there also.
Even them.
Yeah.
It just says everyone.
Yep. Because
for AJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, it said 8. For me, I wrote Violet is MIA, AJ is MIA, Minerva is MIA. Okay, you know what? Everyone is just MIA.
I don't think it said AJ was MIA for me, but also there wasn't
it did,
the
for me.
Lily didn't do an attack in my one because she was a dead.
I think the MIA is basically like, oh yeah, there was a big explosion. We don't know what's going on.
We don't know what is who's good and who's
dead. I guess from whose perspective are they missing? Like someone on the ground, like from.
Yeah, James is like missing from life.
Yeah, he's from Molly's perspective. Like Molly doesn't know where they are.
Yeah, how's she doing? Where's she?
Yeah.
She's like, God, where did those main characters get?
Yeah, they're rendering me in such low poly now that I'm so far away from them.
She's so far off screen.
Yeah, she's in such a low level of detail.
They're really Super Mario 64ing her.
Yeah. Okay, so here are our segments. The penultimate time we're doing this, Dustin.
Yes.
Well, they might make a Wolf Among Us too.
Maybe. We'll see.
We're really not counting on it to impact the end of this podcast. But segment number 1, Golden Moment. Would you do me the honor of allowing me to start with the Golden Moment?
I would love nothing more, you beautiful son of a bitch.
It was actually a giant scene that we didn't talk at all about through the whole episode.
I know what it's going to be.
Yeah. So
I was waiting to bring it up.
There's a dream sequence where Clementine talks to Lee on the train from season 1, and she's like a season 1 age again. She's got the pigtails, and Lee's there, and they get the actor for Lee back, and it feels like a return to that season 1. And she's just like rationalizing some of the decisions she's gonna have to make, and the fact that this is a big stressful like this is the night before the attack on the boat, so she's stressed out about that. And Lee just talks her through her feelings a little bit. And it's really just that, like, there's some particulars about their conversation that are very well written, but I think just the emotional crescendo that's going on by having Lee here right now.
I also want to talk about one of the lines in that scene, which is probably, like, really fucked up.
What's the line?
One of the things that Lee says is, imagine what Lewis is going to say when you rescue him.
Probably not much.
And in the other route, it's, imagine how Violet's going to feel when you rescue her. And that's also not good. So,
yeah, huh.
Because it is just how, it's in her head, and they...
Yeah. I was actually having a conversation with a colleague earlier today about the nature of dreams versus ghosts in fiction.
Ooh.
And like, this is a dream, it's not a ghost. It's not Lee coming back to talk to her to tell her anything about any way Lee actually felt. She's making it up 100%. And because her memory of Lee is this like older Obi-Wan-esque mentor type,
this beautifully animated
yeah, this version of Lee that looks better than Lee's ever looked.
Yeah.
Like, he's so wise here because this is the way he was to her when she was young. Even though we know for a fact he was fucking up all the time, and there were a lot of things that he felt very unwise about, and he was constantly stressed out, and made a ton of bad decisions. To Clementine, he was just this like wizard who could do no wrong and was always right.
And the other thing too is that Clementine, like, in this scene is kind of regressed to being a child and like kind of working through childish feelings.
Yeah, and then like when they hug and then they back up, she turns into her current age model, and he's like, "Whoa, you're really grown up." And I feel like that's a little bit of her like trying to assure herself, like, yeah, if Lee saw me right now, he would think that we're the same age, and they're not really, but like that's how it feels to her, how far she's grown up, and like she's bragging about taking care of AJ, and of course she's just bragging to herself. It's like such a nice bit of humanity in her. It's done so well, and like there's a bit here where when I played episode 1 and it started at the very beginning, they made me re-choose, even though they should just have the save data, but I guess they don't. They made me re-choose what Lee said to Clementine when he died.
Right.
Right before he died. And I think I had him say, always keep moving. And I kind of had him say that, and I forgot about it because I was like, I don't remember what I actually said. Maybe that doesn't matter. But right. It does matter because I had him say, always keep moving. And Clementine in the dream says, you told me to always keep moving, and I'm sorry, but like, I think I want to stay here. And then Lee's like, well, if you got someone that loves you and you think it's safe, if you found a home, you're off the hook. And that's, it's obviously her trying to give herself permission to stay there.
Yeah.
But like, she can't even just do that. She has to run it by a dream version of Lee in order to pretend that what she's doing is okay, because she just wants to have the best life for herself and for AJ and for her love interest as possible. Yeah. Just my golden moment for sure.
Same. It's interesting you say that, because I chose to have Lee say, and I think I made this choice back in season 1. I think I remembered this being the choice. I told her to keep that hair short, and in the dream, Lee looks at her hair and he's like, oh, I thought I told you to keep this short. What are you doing?
So she doesn't give herself more permission for that. She's
well,
like,
no,
oh,
she basically like replies to him like, oh, you wouldn't believe how hard it is to find scissors now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, that's also my golden moment. It's such a good scene. I mean, all the dialogue is great. It's so cool seeing the grown-up Clementine can have this conversation with Lee as peers with one another. Yeah. Even though he's a dream, it's still a very powerful scene. And it just looks so good. Like, I think about how, like, I think season 1 of this game does look very nice, but boy, night and day between that and how it looks now.
Yeah, like, if you compare side by side, like, it is so much nicer looking now. And they know it, too. Like, they frame Lee, like, they're like, oh, this is the most beautiful thing we've ever animated in our life, It's like...
Yeah. Yeah. Like, he even asks her, like, why the train? Which I felt like, isn't that specific, like, right from Harry Potter? Why the train? I'm like, oh, King's Cross is always... whatever. I don't like referencing Harry Potter all the time, but I felt like that was a very one-to-one kind of reference.
You decided to let yourself this time.
We give ourselves allowances every once in a while if the analog is as direct as this one is.
Because it
the train station, yeah.
When I was watching Adam do it, I was just joking that the rest of the episode was just going to continue from that point in season 1, episode 3.
And you have to like redo
so Lee's
it.
Like, hold on, Clem, I gotta get Dream Kenny to stop the train.
Yeah, this episode is 20 hours.
Yeah, you have to replay all of it up until back where you were.
Yeah, and then you can wake up from a dream when you go to sleep.
And you'll say, oh, what a nightmare.
Yep, you ever have those dreams that feel like you actually live the full year?
Yes, yeah. I've had those before.
I hate it so much.
I don't have those dreams.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, Ape, what's your golden moment?
My golden moment is when Tennessee has the gun. I think that the contrast between AJ and Tennessee is like one of these things they keep trying to highlight.
Yeah.
And you can tell that Lily is not scared of this child at all. And so like the tension's already so high at that moment. There's a bomb about to go off. There's like James is there going, oh no, wow, it's so scary. And, Lily's like, oh, I'm evil. But like the contrast between how Lily interacts with Tennessee compared to how she interacts with AJ, I think that just like really ramps up the tension in that and makes that choice feel so much more impactful.
Totally agree. That's true. Sorry, there's something that just popped up on my screen called... Oh, I don't know what this is. Uh-oh, I feel weird about it. Okay, we'll keep doing the podcast. Choice Cut.
Awesome.
Choice Cut was telling AJ not to help Violet when Dorian had her. That was my choice cut.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think I felt like weird picking not the big end of episode 1.
There's a lot of choices in this episode that work. There's a lot of good ones. I think this whole season's been very strong with the choices you make.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Ape, what was yours? I'll let you go before I say mine.
I like naming the bomb. So it's like, okay, you've made this bomb, and you're supposed to. Willie is like, oh, we should give it a name, and you basically get like the ability to name it after either after Willie himself, after Mitch, or after Ruby, and my favorite option is if you stay silent, AJ will chime in and say, we should call it AJ. And so when you have this bomb later and you put it in the boiler, everyone goes, good luck, AJ. And then AJ goes, good luck, AJ. So that's my favorite. I like that. It's a dumb choice, but I think it's very funny.
That is funny, yeah. Dustin, you didn't say yours yet?
No. Mine is letting AJ choose the banner for the party.
None of us said the big one.
No, I mean, they're all great choices, but this one, the results of this one really made me laugh.
Yeah. I did too, yeah.
Yeah, it just says, surprise, dummies.
This is what I wrote. Surprise, dummies.
It's like, yeah, good job, man.
AJ is just so, like, they use him for so many different things, and I think the fact that he can still do all this kind of messed up stuff and be such, like, a polarizing, like, oh, every choice matters because AJ's watching, and then it's just, like, you can just have a scene where he's just a funny kid, and, like, I think that really makes the season work.
Yeah, AJ is such a, like, it was such a big responsibility for Telltale to own up to. Because the idea that Clementine is impacted by the choices you make was set up in season 1. And then as early as season 2, AJ is born. And it's leading, like, this whole time of, like, how is Clementine gonna be on her own with AJ? And then, in season 3, it was about Clementine getting AJ back, but AJ was still just a baby. And now, finally, like,
he has to be a character now.
Nearly, like 7 years after the season 1 came out, we're now in the end of season 4, and it's finally getting to the point where Clementine has gotten to the part that Lee was at with her, and we have our own Clementine, and he's been teased as this, like, narrative device for so long, and he's finally here, and they really do him well. They do him justice. It was a high bar they set for themselves, and then they jumped over it still. So really impressed with what they do with AJ.
He still should have been Krista's baby.
Agreed.
I'm still mad about it, but
He should have been what?
Krista's baby. He still should have been Krista's baby. They didn't need to make a Rebecca, but
oh yeah,
that makes me so mad.
I kind of agree with that.
Huh. All right.
It doesn't bother me that much since it's, like, so far in the past. I've gotten over it by this point, but I do totally agree. It would have given Krista, like, anything at all.
It would have also made the season 1 callbacks make a little more sense.
I don't know. I actually don't feel this one. I feel like showing Krista's baby not work out, and that being a wedge between her and Clementine in season 2 was really important for showing how much Clementine wants to get this one right, and how she's now of an age and maturity level and capability level that she can get this one right. I think that having the contrast there with the other baby was a good move.
I getcha.
That's just me, though. That's just me. Weekly guy. My weekly guy is Minnie.
Minnie.
Is that yours too? Oh
no,
you just like saying it. I do also like saying it.
It's just a fun one to say.
Yeah, Minerva. What a good name. Yeah, the way that Minnie is handled here, showing her to be so brainwashed and manipulated, is just pretty well done, and it's horrifying to see her fall so deep that she killed her own twin sister just because she was already in bad, or Minnie herself was already in bad graces with Lily, and she needed something just to prove her to be loyal. So like she wasn't even asked to do this one; she just needed something to prove.
And how impressive is it that they have set up this character entirely within this one episode too? Like, you get her whole deal. She is completely broken, and you feel for her, but also you don't.
Yeah.
It's
and they're not even super long scenes. It's not even like she's in the episode that long. They just do a great job of conveying her.
Well, they talk about Minnie and Sophie in episodes 1 and 2 as well. But like, yeah, it just comes to a head here with Minerva here. Like she's just all the way realized and really quick. You're right. Like it's very short number of on-screen seconds for the job to be done. Very efficient storytelling with her. Yeah. Andrew, what is yours?
I am giving it to Violet, I think.
Okay.
I think in both paths, whether she's like still kidnapped or not, I think she kind of drives the scene forward in a way that's like, okay, like one version of Violet is very conflicted about like the whole Minnie situation and like the being on the boat and like assisting Clementine, and like the other version of Violet is also like super conflicted and wants nothing to do with Clementine, and both of those narratively make so much sense. And I think it's impressive that she can fill both of those roles depending on your choices, and it actually does feel like that choice mattered.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And Dustin, we'll skip you.
Okay.
Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm a jokester.
I'm joking.
Remember 142 episodes ago when you said maybe I'll draw all of my weekly guys?
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't.
You did draw Hector though.
Well, that was for a different art project, but I'm glad I didn't just say, I'm going to do one for every Telltale.
Yeah, it's wild because Hector was absolutely never our weekly guy.
No, not even once.
Not even close.
Yeah, he sucks.
He really did. So who's your penultimate weekly guy?
Well, not Hector, I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
No, it's Lily.
Cool. Yeah, Lily was mine last episode, but yeah, that's a really good one.
Absolutely psychotic in this episode.
Totally.
But like not like some over the top like villain, but like in a believable way. I believe that she had been like so warped and just so cold-hearted by this point, and she's like frightening.
Mm-hmm.
She was never frightening in season 1. They really and I liked that they brought her back in episode 2, but I don't know. I don't want to say I had reservations about it, but like there was like a little tiny part in the back of my head where I'm like, oh, this feels a little far-fetched and feels like it's just in there to wrap up this loose end for the fans. But, I don't really care that much, and I feel like this episode especially really justifies her presence.
Yeah, I agree that, like, I don't know if the convenience of it has ever been really fully justified, but the idea that there is something from your past that you did not cleanly square away that didn't feel like the biggest deal at the time, but now is going to come, like, you really have to reckon with. It had to be something, because something like that is inevitable in everyone's life. And for it to be Lily is like, okay, well, that one is a little weird, but yeah, okay, it was going to be something.
I think it's also
it really. Oh, I was just going to say it really worked out in the end, but when I first saw her in episode 2, my first thought was, oh, it's like Kenny again.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is like Kenny again for sure.
And it totally played out differently, which in a great way. But and I'm very glad it did.
I think the thing that impresses me with Lily is like even though it's like 7 years of time have supposedly, passed between when you last saw her, and like she's kind of like a different character now, but like in a way that I'm like, oh, I get why you are this character now. Like I get what happened to you.
Yeah.
It's not like they took Doug and made him like a hardcore soldier guy.
Yeah.
It feels like Lily feels like a natural evolution.
Could have been Molly.
Could have been Molly.
It could have been Molly, but Molly sucks. We barely remember her, so
I don't think she sucks, but I think it was the writing not exactly finding what kind of story they wanted to tell yet. Which is a thing about season 1. You've convinced me that season 1 is a little less consistent than I remember it being.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't divorce myself from how I feel about it. I just love it too much, but it's not perfect.
I will say this is one of the differences between Dustin and I, is that I played these like all in very quick succession and formed opinions on them very quickly. Meanwhile, you've been sitting on season 1 for like,
about 12 years,
yeah. It's so hard for me to...
I get why people would prefer season 1, even though I personally, seeing all the stuff they do with season 4, I'm like, I like every single character here. Like, there's not a single character where I'm like, oh yeah, that's the Molly. I mean, James is kind of the Molly, but like
James
even
is
then,
the Molly.
Like,
yeah, we were just talking. Don't say that. We were just talking about how we don't like James.
At the same time, I think Molly is kind of poorly written. I don't think James is poorly written.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that's the difference. I'm like, I don't like James as like a person. I think he's like...
I don't agree with James, but I don't see him as like super out of place in this story. Molly was like the badass hero girl that felt a little too goofy.
Please give me a spin-off game.
They didn't.
Good.
Her gambit didn't pay off.
So I said Minnie, Andrew said Violet, Dustin said Lily. Okay. And those are our segments.
We did a good job with these segments.
Yeah, we did a good job just as people. We got to stop sometimes and high-five ourselves for not being murderers and stuff, like in real life.
We're better than a lot of these people in this
But
episode.
if you did, then you're justified, though.
Yeah. And everyone agrees.
Everyone gets to feel okay, because it's okay. You are correct.
One.
I'm glad it worked
Everyone
out.
gets one.
No matter what you picked.
No matter what you've done, everyone gets one.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay, so thank you so much for being on the show, Andrew. It was a great conversation, and I am so excited to finish up The Walking Dead, the final season, and also our entire catalog of games to play in next week's episode. I can't believe it's coming up. We're finally done.
Can't wait.
I'd clap for you, but it might peak the mic.
Thanks for not doing it.
Yay!
Yeah. But you can like insert like a clapping sound here, like maybe, or like a foghorn.
I'll remember. And it is mid-May right now, so I'm actually heating up in this room. So let's end the show. In fact, I never say this, but Andrew, have a great summer.
Oh, you have a great summer too, Mitchell.
Oh, that's beautiful. I like that.